Let's take a look at the seats then. So these are from a Honda S2000, quite old now and not looking too clever. If we look at the bolster, it's got the usual wear from getting in and out. And then if we look down here on the base section, because the leather was perforated and because it's dried out, when it's been sat on, it's been stretched and it's eventually ripped. And then over time, it's got worse and worse and worse. It's the same on the passenger side, just not as severe. And then if we look at this lower bolster on the driver's side as well, you can see here, compared to the other side, the foam has collapsed. So that's going to need looking at and repairing and brought back to life. As for the finish of the seats, they're not going back to standard. I went through the design process with the customer and they've chosen to have Nappa leather on the bolsters with Dynamica in the middle, and then carbon effect leather strip running down that Dynamica, and it'll all be tied together with the dark blue stitch which matches the car. Now we know what we're doing with the seats. I'll get it on the bench and we'll start stripping them down. Unlike in my other video with the Lamborghini seats, if you haven't seen that, by the way, go and check it out. It's a really good watch. I don't have the patterns for these seats. I don't do them on a regular basis. In the last 14 years I've been doing Edge Automotive, I've done one other set. But with the Lamborghini seats, I do them quite regularly, so I keep that on file, and then when I've got a set in, I can just crack on. That being said, these are going to have to be patterned, so we have to dismantle them first. We'll go through that together, and then we'll start picking the seat covers apart. The first thing we're going to have to remove is this plastic cover. This tilt release handle pulls off, it's just a push fit. 2 screws here, and that will come away and reveal some bolts. Two 14mm bolts on this side, one 12mm nut on the other side, and this is all that holds the backrest on. With the back off, that just leaves the rails, 2 14mm bolts here, and on the underside, 2 12mm nuts. And that's all it takes to strip these seats down. Relatively simple really. Now to get the covers off, we need to remove a lot of these. These are called hog rings. You could say they're a staple of the upholstery trade. Pair of pliers on these, give it a twist and they pop off. Get the base stripped, and when we come back, these will just be foam, and then we'll start picking the pattern apart to make the pattern. Now that the pattern's off, I just wanted to have a quick word about them. You might have noticed I chose the passenger side. Now the reason we do this is because the passenger side has less wear, less bag, less stretch, and it'll give us the most accurate pattern. Along with that, once I've got all the pieces unpicked and separated, I lay them onto card and I translate the pattern onto the card in case I need to make any adjustments. Not everyone does it like this. I personally prefer this. I find it's a more accurate finish. It gives a better finish. Some people like to just put the old pattern straight on the new leather and draw around it. But for me, the pattern is where your finish lies. It's not just in the sewing. So it needs to be as accurate as possible. With the leather, over the bolsters especially, it has to be stretched over there. So over time, it will form to that shape. So when you come to lay it down, it won't lay flat. So these pieces need to be readjusted to allow for the new leather to re-stretch over and give a nice tight finish. Now everything's unpicked, I've rolled out the card and we've got our patterns on here. So what we're going to need is a weight to make sure our patterns don't move when we're tracing around them. Need a pen. We just need to be very light up against it. Start drawing around. We want to avoid stretching, moving, anything like that. Mark your notches or your reference marks as you're going round. These are to help you sew it back together. Once that's done, take your weight off, lift the pattern off, bring your notches in, and then put any kind of information on there that you need to. What it's for, headrest for example, this is for the headrest. And then you do that for all your patterns. Just a quick one, guys. Don't worry, this isn't a sponsored ad or anything. I just wanted to give a shout out to someone. I mentioned earlier that I'd only ever done one other set of these in the past 14 years that Edge Automotive had been going. Funnily enough, that set was about a year ago, and it was for a chap called Shaky. Now, Shaky likes car audio, and he likes it that much. He started his own business called what's it called? Studio in Car. Studio in Car. So yeah, he loves car audio. He's a good chap, and he's helped me out with a channel, give me some tips and stuff. So I really appreciate that. Over the years, we've built some cars together. Probably would have been more if he wasn't so far away. The logistics just doesn't quite work, so it's quite awkward sometimes. But yeah, he's a really nice guy. So I'll put his link in the description below. So I'd appreciate if you went over, give him a like and a subscribe and all that good stuff. Yeah, and I'm going to crack on with what I was doing. Hello. I'm just stripping the driver's seat down because first I want to assess the damage on the driver's bolster. Not only that, I want to see if the base is symmetrical with the passenger side, because if it is, we can swap the bases round. This means that this worn collapsed base will then go on the inside, and the driver's side will have a fresh new base which will last another 20 years. So I'll strip the seat down, I'll have them both on the bench, and I can see then if there's any differences. If not, all good. Right, let's get this cover off and we'll see how bad the damage is. So here's the damage, and as you can see, it's ripped there. And what's caused this is over time, when people slide out, there's a bit of reinforcement bar there, and the foam rubs on this and eventually splits, gives up, and the longer it goes on, it gets worse and worse. I stripped the foam off the bases, and unfortunately they're not swappable. There's a reinforcement bar on the outside bolster, and the foam allows that bar to sit up inside, so we're not going to be able to swap them around, so we're going to have to repair it and reinforce it the best we can. Wow, what a transformation these have been. If you remember the old shiny cracked leather, especially down here on the driver's bolster, we had the ripped seat bases on both the passenger and the driver, with the driver's being the worst, and of course the collapsed bolster on the driver's side. That's been repaired. We did try to swap the bases, if you remember, but the bases are handed, so that wasn't possible, so we had to repair it the best we could. The ripped areas now replaced with Dynamica, and that carbon effect leather just running down the middle, boarded off by some nice dark blue stitching to match the car. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I definitely have. I think the seats speak for themselves. I can't wait to see them in the car. Like I say, they're going to completely transform the interior of that Honda S2000. If you did enjoy the video, please give it a like and a subscribe and all that good stuff. Got some more projects coming up, so make sure you stick around for that. In the meantime though, I've got another video here where I worked on some Lamborghini seats, so give that a watch, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.